Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Guthels, and I am very, very excited to be bringing you the first Student Zone session to the main Build digital breakout sessions of Build 2020. This is going to be awesome. The Student Zone is a set of curated and created sessions all throughout the 48 hours of Build, built specifically for 14 to 21-year-old students. But also, if you fall outside of that age range, if you're just looking for that introductory content. And before we get started, I do want to remind everyone of Microsoft's Code of Conduct specifically for Build 2020. Basically, be friendly, be kind. We're all friends here, and we're just trying to create this online digital community the best we all can. And without further ado, I am so excited to introduce to you Scott Hanselman and Luann Murphy. And you probably know who Scott Hanselman is if you've seen the keynotes or any of his other sessions. But Luann Murphy is one of our special guests. She came to Build last year with her dad as part of the Student Zone. And this year she's presenting on a main Build digital breakout session with Scott Hanselman. And I can't wait to have you hear her journey. So without further ado, I'm going to have them tell you a little bit about who Luann is, what she's interested in, and have Scott teach her a little bit about MakeCode and integrating it with some IoT devices. Let's hear it.
Hey friends, I'm Scott Hanselman, and it's the Microsoft Build Student Zone. I'm here with Luann Murphy. How's it going?
It's going great.
I haven't seen you in a while. What conference were we at?
The Microsoft Build conference.
Was it 2019 or 2018?
I believe it was 2019.
Wow, it's only been a year and the world has changed, but we are here at Build again, which is super awesome. Are you like a Build? You're going to go to Build every year now? That's like your thing?
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. And now, since I saw you, did you win like a NASA competition or something?
Well, we were in the top 10 for the nation. So there were 79 teams and we got top 10. So now we're moving to the next level where we're going to do prototyping.
Wow. Okay. What are you prototyping?
We're doing headgear to help mitigate against radiation for crew members in space for the Moon to Mars mission.
How do you like get involved in that? Like I'm trying to imagine how I get my 14-year-old. Like you're going to be a senior, so my son's like 3 or 4 years behind you. Were you totally thinking about NASA radiation levels at 14? And how did you get to that level?
No, I've always loved like outer space and space exploration, and I follow NASA on Instagram, and NASA is always posting about like cool new competitions and what they're doing. And they posted in their Instagram story about a competition they were doing that was open to middle school and high school students. So I was just talking to my friends, so like, hey, this seems really cool. We talked to some of the engineering teachers, and we just got it started.
That's cool. So then I'm hearing you say that if an opportunity presents itself, there's probably 1,000 people that saw that Instagram story. You saw it, you assembled your friends, you got the crew together, and you made a thing. And you're like the team captain?
Yeah, just have to go for it. Yep.
That is freaking cool. Okay, good. So then you will like the little project that we'll work on today, because if you're going to send something away, something remotely, if you're going to go to another planet, you're going to go into space, you're going to want to collect all kinds of environmental data. It's kind of the Internet of Things in space.
Yes,
right?
Definitely.
All right, cool. So when we were setting up here, I saw your desktop and you've got like Visual Studio Code and you've got your coding stuff. Have you ever used MakeCode?
I have, yes. I used it last year at Build.
Okay, cool. I've got like a MakeCode. This is like a Pi Arcade I got from Adafruit, and you can go to makecode.com. I'll actually bring up MakeCode. Just go to makecode.com, and the MakeCode Arcade lets you make these. You have one of these. It's a little different. It's more shaped like
yeah, I do. Here. A little cat one.
Right, so we can make like arcade games and like little Zelda, Mario type games, and that's just pretty cool. MakeCode is really slick for people to get started. I don't know where do you send your friends when your friends are like, hey, Luann, how I want to get started coding? Do you say like, do JavaScript, go to the command line, no syntax highlighting? I send my friends to MakeCode.
Yeah, I normally just say like, look up online different websites where you can learn how to code, mostly JavaScript, because that's where I started.
JavaScript is a really great place to start. One of the things that I like about MakeCode is that it has two editors. It's like it got a Blockly editor, And then it's got a JavaScript editor. So for example, if we went over to like Arcade right here, and here it's loading, and here, like a month ago, I was working on this Happy Flower project, and I think I got like halfway through it. So here I'm just kind of like working on sprites and getting started. I actually never finished this one, so this is kind of bad. I'm gonna go and like next through the tutorial. So I'm actually not gonna have a successful project here. And I'll just close this. And then these blocks, right? You can like snap them out. So this is probably not something that a NASA engineer would do. But if we click on JavaScript, like it actually wrote the JavaScript for you. And then you see this like plus.
Yeah.
I thought this was pretty cool. Let me move us over here. Boop. That's the actual like sprite.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's really cool.
But they hide it from you, right? Which makes total sense. And then look at that. So
That's so
MakeCode
cool.
is super smart about this kind of stuff. So you can draw your pixels, and then you can go and pull from a gallery. There you go, Taco. And being able to do that and then think about it in the context of JavaScript is super cool. So you can switch between blocks and JavaScript. So I was poking around at this, and I mentioned that I got this device, right? We got this this device like at Build last year, and you got yours. Adafruit makes these. Different companies make these. At MakeCode, there's all kinds of devices. There's like Lego Mindstorms, and this one's really popular, the Microbit. It turns out, I found out, that all of this is open source. Do you put stuff on GitHub?
I have not, but I do definitely use other people's to just kind of try to learn more.
And that's a really great point. You use other people's stuff on GitHub to then build your thing. So
Yeah.
I started poking around, and I found out that MakeCode is based on an open source project that's called the Programming Experience Toolkit. And basically, it's the thing that they made MakeCode with. Turns out that there's a bunch of stuff there. Like the Blockly code editor, that's a thing. The JavaScript code editor is called Monaco, which actually is the thing that is inside VS Code, which I know that you use. And then a code emitter, so a thing that makes code. So it turns out when you're over there and you say, make this app, it'll go and download the thing, and then that's what you copy onto your device. Turns out, look, people make editors with this. So MakeCode isn't just for Microsoft. Like there's Lego. And Adafruit made their own. So I can go over to like Adafruit. Here's Adafruit. So you look at the domain here, it's a totally different company, right? So they've got makecode.adafruit. Have you ever got one of, these are kind of cool, the Circuit Playground Express?
Yeah, and I have this little guy here.
Oh, you actually, see, you're like me. The real nerds can just, oh, do you have one of these? Yes, I do. Like, do I have my Circuit Playground Express like around here somewhere? Like I've got like Adafruit boxes, and anytime anyone mentions an object, it's like, in fact, I do. Oh yes, here's my Adafruit box. So I love that you're just like, yes. So if you don't have one of those, if one of your friends doesn't have one of the things that they can do is go up here and they can have a simulated one, right? So they can actually play with one of these, and that's super cool. And then when they do eventually get theirs in the mail, they can do that. So I went and talked to another company, a smaller company that's not Adafruit, that's called Mantis. And Mantis is a little company in Atlanta, and they do like stuff for after school programs and experimental learning. And Mantis EDU makes these IoT devices. So when I was thinking about space and NASA and all that kind of stuff, I'm thinking, hey, what if we could do like real-time IoT control with like simple tools? Because when I think like IoT, it seems like it would be like, I don't know, industrial. It seems a little bit less awesome than robot stuff. What kind of sensors and things are you plugging in for your project for your team?
For our specific one, we aren't really doing that stuff. Ours is just focused on protecting crew members from harmful radiation. So we're not really collecting data for
How will you
ours.
detect that they have radiation? Like, how do you know? Like, are you going to do experiments with you're going to make things to make them safe, but how will you know that they are safe?
We just have to do research on different materials and do the math for it, really.
I love that. That's like what you just said is such a like engineer thing. I've had people like, what are you going to do? Well, we're going to do the math. Like, that's how we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
That basically is it, right? Like, how do you know that that bridge is not going to fall over? I did the math. So theoretically, someone could make a radiation sensor, right? Or whatever. Now, we don't have one of those, but I do have a climate tag, which is this one here. And I've got one actually right here, which is a little IoT device. And this is kind of cool because for environmental things, you could basically get data, and it's got, it's splash proof, it's got a light sensor, UV sensor, it's got humidity and barometer. And this is the part that I thought was pretty cool, because if I was going to send it to space, check this out. It'll last for a year on a coin cell.
Wow.
That's right. So you throw it on Mars and it lasts for forever. And I thought about it, I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to check this out. Turns out that it's Bluetooth. And did you know what Bluetooth beacons are? Have you ever heard about this?
No, I've not.
Well, like when you pair stuff, it's like a whole thing, right? You pair your phone, you pair, and it's like, oh, we're going to pair the thing. And do you do the pairing for your parents? Like if you have like some like non-technical relative is like, can you pair my Bluetooth? Or can you set the...
Yeah, and it always takes forever.
Right, and it's like a thing. Turns out that there's Bluetooth beacons or Bluetooth advertisements that don't pair, they just yell a lot. So this thing, if you flip it over, it just goes, hey, 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 constantly to tell you that stuff's happening. And this is cool because when you flip it over, it goes to sleep. And if you flip it up, it just yells. Okay? So I flipped it over and I can see a light flashing. And that means it's yelling the stuff. It's yelling the UV sensing. It's yelling the temperature. It's hollering at us right now. So Mantis made a make code, which is cool. And the probe that I have, I've actually got an app too on my phone because they have one of these as well, which is pretty cool. They've got an app, and you can go and find the sensor on the app, right? So then it shows up here, and then it has an address, because I guess you could have dozens of these, right? You could like throw them all over your house.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? We are pausing for, what is it, 2 seconds? We set a variable, and then we like hang around and wait to hear from that thing. And I'm imagining that I guess I could go all over my house and like sprinkle these around, right? What's happening in the cellar? What's going on over in this room? And I could maybe draw a map. I mean, once you have the data, you could do anything, right? So what would be something cool we could do with one of these?
I could imagine that you could see what the temperature is like and the humidity is like for like different rooms in the house.
Exactly, like a weather station for your own space.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's do that. Excellent idea. So it turns out that there's a thing called Weather Underground. And Weather Underground lets you make dashboards for spaces. And usually you go and like put your zip code in, right? With this, you can just make a space and make a station and send them your weather. So I thought it would be cool if we tried to do that. So this is just like a nothing place. It's offline, you see. I didn't actually succeed. It has no current conditions and everything's unavailable. So we know nothing about the build student zone weather right now. So if we listen to the climate tag, this is really interesting. So this is kind of like a hash table because you can have multiple probes or like an array of these tags. So check this out. We can go and then pull variables out of that hashtag. So it's going, hey, climate tag at ID temperature, climate tag at whatever, and grab pressure, light, UV. And then we push it to the Weather Underground station. Now, this is, I think, where things go from being like blocks to being a little more advanced, right? Like, do you call web, you call web services, probably like you've done like JSON? Okay, so how would you explain JSON to like a normal, like a rando on the street, assuming their name is not Jason?
So you're just kind of taking your data and making a bit of a list with it. And then it's compacted. It's almost like it's one object at that point.
Exactly.
And you can kind of just send it to anywhere you want.
Right. So we're going to make this chunk here, this section, an object, and we're going to call this function here called push data to the cloud. And down in here, this is where we're now pushing MakeCode kind of like to the advanced level. I'm going to pull us over here. And this is kind of interesting. I hid all this in a method. So like this is nice and clean. Push data to cloud. Down here, it's like, what's happening? We're actually kind of pulling this string together. So it's like, let's look at like, oh, here you go. Let's look at temperature. This tag tells me Celsius. So it's like, oh, or maybe it's telling me Fahrenheit and I have to convert it, but I'm converting. You can see like temperature times 9 divided by 5 plus 32. So I'm taking the Celsius, converting temperature. So now you can see I'm making a string. Temp F colon, quote, I was going to say string thing. I don't know why I was going to say that. And then temperature times 9 divided by 5 plus 32, string. So we're like string. And then look down here. This is kind of janky, but awesome. See, there's our curly brace, and then we go comma, and then we just post it. Maybe I could have done it better, but what are you going to do, right? It's JavaScript. It's awesome. Then all of that just goes, and then we just make a URL, which is really cool. And here, we're just going to go and say, like you just said, look, JSON object, let's go and send the JSON object to the URL. And then we're going to do it every 5 seconds. Sweet?
Okay.
Dig it. And then the best part about really horrible, janky functions that are awful like this is you hide them, and then you never speak of them again. So when we show people our code, we're like, look, it's just this, and it's amazing. Okay?
Show them the pretty part, hide the scary.
You hide all the scary, you just bury it, and we never talk about it again. And you're like, oh yeah, it's just implementation details. It's a thing you can just throw out there. Okay? All right. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip it upside down. And because it's Bluetooth, there's a couple ways we could talk to it. We can use web Bluetooth on some systems. You can get like a dongle to talk to it. There's lots of different ways. But it's like yelling now. It's going, hey, hey. Then we're going to hit play. Okay. And then there's like a sensor panel, because there's different sensors, right? With this Mantis climate tag, I could use a climate tag or a moisture sensor for the ground, on like Mars, or maybe not Mars, but your plants. And we're going to hopefully see, look, what's happening? Check it. Okay, temp 25, humidity, that seems a little low. I might die. Pressure, light. There's no UV because I'm inside. That makes sense. That's cool. And then it says sending. And then look, it put our JSON right there. Cool. So now, if we did this right, we should have a personal weather center for the student zone.
That's
all demo.
cool.
What do you think the chances are this is going to work?
Should work.
You're feeling good about it? All right, let's go over here and let's hit refresh, because I don't know. Pause for oh, what's happening? Online updated 1 minute ago. Okay, where's my values? Please work. Look, It's so hot. Why is it 77 degrees right now? Turns out I have so many computers in my room that it is like legit making it hot in here. So look at that. So look, I've got air pressure, I've got current. Now here I have like wind and precipitation. And then you could even go and like make a webcam if you wanted. So you could have a weather station for your backyard and a URL that you could show people. Then if you wanted to, you could like do even more cool stuff. You could go like full screen, and then you could do like graphs, because it's all about the graphs. See, look, wonder if I could do this. I'm wondering if I could make it humid by breathing on it. Is that even a thing? Is my breath humid? I don't know.
I would think so.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Air pressure. I want my humidity numbers to go up. Temperature. Maybe I have to drink something and then breathe. Oh, look, look, the humidity just went up.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Like it's real. That's real-time IoT, Internet of Things. And we did it just with like a little knowledge of JSON and using MakeCode. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So I know you have no sensors that you're sending to Mars or wherever you're doing the radiation. Is it just like anywhere in space that they're going to be, like this project that you're working on? Is it this?
It's particularly during solar particle events, because that is a very real issue during missions of that length.
That's
so
cool.
We have to protect them against that.
Now, are you going to be tweeting about this?
I probably will be, yeah.
All right, cool. So people can make sure to follow you and check you out on Twitter. Here's your Twitter, and I'm going to follow you now. Cool. And you can go and learn about MakeCode at makecode.com. And you can check out our friends at Adafruit. They have a fun thing called the Circuit Playground. And then the climate tag that we used here was part of Mantis EDU at mantisedu.io. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. This is just like one of the millions of really cool things that you could do potentially with IoT and with MakeCode. Thank you so much for spending time with me at the Student Zone at Build. I hope you have a good conference.
That was so awesome. I really need one of those personal weather stations because I've got these like big bright lights for streaming and this heater that doesn't make any noise, so I don't know if it's on, and I'm constantly just randomly sweating and not realizing it's like 90 degrees in here. So I'm gonna have to hit y'all up after this. But before we get into that, I did notice some questions over in the chat, and I wanted to ask Luann actually. I really want to know, well, we all really want to know, who is MakeCode good for? I mean, you said you started in JavaScript. How young might someone be able to do MakeCode? And is there any reason why like an older person, maybe someone who has been coding for decades, might want to try out MakeCode? What do you think?
I think MakeCode is really great for pretty much any age group. I think I started using block coding in 6th grade, and I think it's a great way to learn because you can switch between the blocks and the running code. So you can start out with blocks, you're getting used to it, and then you switch to the written code and you can see how it translates. And I think it's still really good if you're an experienced coder because it's just a fun way to use code. So, and it's never too late to start.
True. Scott, what do you think about that?
I think that when we flipped between the block view and the JavaScript view, I think